Recording starts.
Yes, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not.
now I think it started. Good. So, good morning to all of you. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good
Okay.
morning, sir.
So,
Good morning.
good morning. So, today we are going to learn a very, very important function of a project manager. So, tomorrow you will be hired as a manager of delivering some project. So, one of the functions for you as a manager will be to able to integrate the entire project. So therefore, we will learn the knowledge part to ensure what we need to learn about integration management. And then the 50% to 40% of the time we are going to spend today on actually practicing one of the integration management tool or a document which helps the project manager to do the integration. So in the class, we'll be practicing that. And that is also your assignment. So therefore, as much as you finish in the class, that much less work will be required to be done later. So with that, I'm approaching today's topic, integration management. Now, if you remember, last week we actually covered that there are 10 functions of a project manager. The functions are, do you remember what the functions are? Anyone? You need to press the unmute button or the space bar to speak.
Yes, sir, we do remember.
Yeah, just let us know.
Scope, time, cost, quality, human resource of people, communication, risk, procurement, integration, and stakeholders.
Fantastic. So integration is one of the 10 functions. So you are like the band master who has got a big band team. Someone is playing guitar, someone is playing tabla, someone is playing, vocal. But you are the manager who is like a band master managing all the other 9 functions. So that is the integration function. So the other way to remember the integration function of a project manager is replace the word integration through the word coordination. So you are the coordinator. Okay, you're the overarching coordinator for the project. So that's what we are going to learn, uh, your managerial capability. So let's do the first slide. So what basically is the performance of an integrator? So there are two functions that you will be coordinating. Number one, you will work with the project sponsor, the person who is sponsoring the project, giving you the money. So that project sponsor, you will be working very closely as the manager. And the second is you will also work with the team and guide your team so that they all can work together as the team leader, captain, whatever name it goes by. So one is sponsor, another is with your team. Now, what do you do with the sponsor? You basically understand the strategic objective of the sponsor. Why sponsor is giving you money and asking you to do this project. So there is a strategic objective. So you will understand what is the strategic objective of the sponsor, and therefore you ensure the alignment with their business and their portfolio of products or business portfolio, and specifically the program under which your project fits in. Okay. So therefore, it will be engagement with the sponsor will be for understanding the strategy and understanding the alignment. Clear?
Dr. Mukherjee, are you sharing your presentation?
Yeah.
It's not
Oh, I'm
shared
not.
yet.
Oh, it's not shared yet. Oh my
No, no.
God. Okay. Sorry. That is not good.
Yes,
I thought
we can see it now.
not. You can see, but I need to bring it to. And yeah. Okay. Right. So this is what. But I also need to bring in something else, which is. Yeah. Okay. Now I think. Now you can see my presentation.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that, Gaurav. Otherwise, I will be speaking to a blank screen. Okay. So, so this is what I said, that the integration function, very broadly, your job will be uh, to talk to the sponsor and talk to your team. Under the sponsor, basically strategic objective and the alignment. And under the team, basically you will share with the team what are the essential focus of the project. So in this case, the aquaponic project, the essential focus is to deliver the product per se, the aquaponic project. Okay. Now for that, you will have to integrate the process of delivery, the people who will be delivering, and the practice, or what we call the knowledge component of the project management. Because without the knowledge, you will not be able to apply the knowledge to the project. And last week we have seen project management PMBOK is the knowledge, a body of knowledge. So that's what we are learning. So that body of knowledge you will be applying through your team and all the processes which is in the body of knowledge. So if you understand this is your role, you're very, very clear what is your role, expected role as a project manager. Clear, everyone? Okay. The next one is, therefore, because we talked about three red things, process, people, and practice, the next three slides will be what is the process, what kind of people engagement, what kind of practice engagement. So the process engagement is basically the activities and the process that comes from the body of knowledge. So the process means a change management is a process, reporting is a process, engagement with stakeholder is a process. Okay. Maintaining the financial discipline is a process. So you will be writing lots of this process documentation yourself in a project management plan. But for the time being, just understand that these processes are your tools for integrating. And in terms of activity, one of the activity which I mentioned today we'll be doing is we'll create a project charter. That's the smallest 2, 3, 4 pages document only. There's a big document which is called project plan. Now, project plan essentially are project plan essentially are 10 elements which we have learned. Each element there is a plan. Plan for integration, plan for cost management, your plan for time management, plan for quality management. So 10 such plan you stitch together, and that becomes a master plan which you will be preparing, and you are required to prepare in any project. Smallest project or the largest project, as a project manager, if you go for a job and you say you don't know what is a project plan and you don't know how to write a project plan, you don't have any skills. Okay. So therefore, we'll be preparing you to write project management plan. So today, I will show you a simple template to write the integration management plan. And as we progress, depending on how many of the 10 we can cover, I will give you template for each of them. All that your job as a project manager is write those plans, add this together, and that becomes a project plan. Is that clear? Okay, so there are two activities for integration, you as a manager. One is writing several processes and documenting several activities. Now let's go to the next one. In terms of practice level, now practice means engineering is a practice, architecture is a practice, okay, accounting is a practice. Similarly, project management is a practice area. So in the practice area, what we say is that the knowledge which always is put into real life practice is called the practice area. So in the other words, your integration will be through the practice level integration. And this case, there are two critical practice level. One is the methodology that is at the practice level you will be applying. Last time we have seen there are several methodologies. One is a PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge. The other one is a waterfall methodology. Third one we've seen is Agile. So really speaking, you will decide which methodology to deploy, and that's where you bring in the practice. Okay. And within the methodology, in this case, majorly we will be learning about PMBOK, which is Project Management Body of Knowledge. The knowledge areas that you will deploy for integration is the knowledge about your scope management, knowledge about your cost management, knowledge about your time management. Clear what your role is? Okay. The next one is a people level. Now, what you will be integrating is the people in different configuration. So in a project, you can have people in a virtual team. That means no one is in the work site or in the office. They are all in different location, geographical location, but connected virtually. For example, suppose you work in a global multinational company. Now that multinational company will have a team in Europe, one team in America, one team in India. So if you're the project manager for the project, for example, this aquaponic, suppose this is the project, okay? Now the company says that you're the project manager. Now dig into the resources who are dispersed virtually all over the world. So one of your people level integration will be configuration management of the people. So virtual team. Second is the on-site team, off-site team and the on-site team, or the networks, or the contractors and suppliers, or the organization that works for you in this project. So all of them is your job to integrate together. So you will set up the meetings, you will give them the agenda, you will make the minutes of the meeting, you will give them the deliverables and the deadlines. Okay, so that will be your job. And how will you do that in people level integration? You will also have a communication planning and a knowledge management guide for the guiding the team. Okay. So communication and knowledge management is also part of your. Why it is? Because you may be the only person who is qualified project manager. I've seen major global teams, they are very good in their respective work, but they're not project management experts. So therefore, you as a manager or the leader of the team will bring in those knowledge areas. So now we have seen which are your role as an integrator with the sponsor and with the team, you process level, practice level, and people level. Okay, now let's see some real life examples. So one of the specific example could be that one of the processes is the resource management process. Now, what is the resource management? Resources could be the people. Okay, so you will be managing the resources because the resources are scarce. I gave you the example, you are the team leader sitting in India, but you might have a team based in Europe, one maybe in America, one maybe somewhere else. So they are not your 100% resource, they are resource of the organization, but they have been given to you as a loan to work for your project. So you will be managing those resources. So you will first write a plan, resource management plan, and then get it approved, and then you manage. The second one is balancing competing demands. Why competing demands? Because the team who is sitting in Europe has got their own bosses in Europe. Okay, you are only project manager for only project. They don't report to you otherwise. They are hired for something else. So therefore, what will happen is there will be competing demand for their time. So you need to balance the competing time. It's a very tricky job of a project manager. That how do you ensure that everyone is happy? Their bosses don't think that you're taking too much of time. They don't think that you're pulling too much or you're not pulling at all. So the good balance is how much time. So how will you do that? You will probably have an agreement saying that this gentleman is working in Europe 5 days a week, 8 hours a week, so total 40 hours. For this project, I need 15 hours. So you will plan 3 hours each day or maybe 5 hours for 3 days. Okay. So those 15 hours then is known, signed by their boss, and you will structure it that on Wednesday, this 3 hours I need, on Thursday, that 3 hour I need. So that's how you balance the competing demands. So that's your job. Okay. Next one is examining any alternate approaches. So there are multiple paths or uh, ways to handle the handle the project. So if there are alternate, sometimes the alternate route may be appropriate not today but tomorrow. For example, you started the project with a very nice timeline, but as you progressed, you found that you are running late. So then the PMBOK method may not be the right approach. Then you need to probably go in for an agile method because something has gone wrong and you're going for an agile method. So you will examine at every point of time what are the alternate routes to get into the end point. So therefore, that is also your job to continuously evaluate, is there an alternate ways? The next one is managing interdependencies. What is interdependency? Interdependency means there are people or processes or tasks or contractors who are interdependent with each other, and therefore impacting any one part will impact the other. So one of the interdependencies could be the scope, time, and cost are interdependent. If the scope increases, the time also increases, cost also increases. So there are interdependencies. Okay. So therefore, you will manage those dependencies, because if you see that suddenly you're going overboard with the cost, you need to bring the cost down, then maybe you need to do something with the scope or with the quality. So that is managing interdependencies. Or interdependencies could be that there are two departments which are dependent on each other. For example, you're saying you have an audit team and you've got a cost team. Okay, the cost team is actually working for keeping all the cost parameters, and the audit team time to time comes for the audit. Now they may be interdependent, because if the auditor says you are not managing your cost appropriately through the audit process, then the cost department, you need to manage to align with the auditor's recommendations. Otherwise, the auditor will fail your process and say that you're not doing well as a project manager, because the auditors are bringing in all the defects and you are not rectifying defects by managing the interdependencies between the cost team and the audit team. The same thing could be with the engineering team. Okay, the engineering team and the architecture team, they could be interdependent. So architectures are basically designing, and engineering is basically putting specifications and implementing. So you will manage those interdependencies. If you fail to manage any interdependencies, remember that part of your project fails. So therefore, these are the processes for integration, you as a project manager. And the next one is customization of the process. There are standard processes for management. For example, reporting is a process. Okay, what are the standard process for reporting? That you agree to report, say, every month or every fortnight. But for your project, it may be a risky project, because aquaponic is being done through a builder which is very high rise, maybe 20, 30 floors. So while you're managing that, there could be incidents or accidents. Normal process will not report incidents and accidents, because it could be a normal project where chances of incidents and accidents are low. So then you will customize your process. You will write, my reporting process will incorporate 3 different sections of my report. So the process 1 will be report normal, routine, repetitive reports. Okay, routine and repeated reports. Every month, the same thing is being reported, how much you're progressing. Then you will customize the process and say, by the way, I will customize and include another process called the process of informing or reporting incidents and accidents. So if there is an accident while constructing, someone fell down from heights, okay, someone slipped, injured. So these are called incidents and accidents. So you will probably customize and say the process of reporting will also incorporate incidents and accidents. And third one, maybe you're doing a project where you have other bosses who might just say from time to time, I need to know how it is going. So that means ad hoc report or ad hoc request might come to you from some corner where they will be requiring not the routine repetitive reports, but suddenly, the director of IIT Kharagpur might just say, oh, this is first time we are introduced this course. Can you give us a report how it is going? Okay. So you will normally not plan a reporting. You will probably plan a reporting to talk to your professors like Professor Gaurav and Professor Praveen, but sometime the director might ask, and sometime maybe Professor Banerjee might ask, being the head of the department. So you will have a process called a customized reporting process to incorporate special requests. So I've given you 3 examples of customization of the process. So routine repetitive, incidents and accidents, and also ad hoc requests. Ad hoc request. Okay. So can you see that these are some of the critical processes that you need to learn? More than learning, remember that this is your job. Now, remember why we prepare you as a manager, because if you're a junior, you can go to your boss and the boss will tell you or teach you on the job. But when you're a manager, especially a project manager, a program manager, you're supposed to be the CEO of that project. It could be a small project or a large project, but ultimately you're the boss. So if you're the boss, whom do you go to ask? No one. So therefore, we are preparing you so that you know these are in your plate. Resource management, balancing competing demands, examining what alternate routes will be useful, managing the interdependencies, customizing the process. These are your managerial job, and that falls part of the integration. So integration, that's why I picked up, because it's out of the 10 functions, this will give you some idea of your management function. Now let's see the activities. So what are the activities you as the boss will have to undertake? So first one, I told you that you have to develop a project charter, which we'll do today for the aquaponic. Okay, that's our assignment today. So you need to develop a charter. Then the second activity, you have to develop a project plan. So I'll show you how to make a plan for integration management. So that is only 1/10 of a project plan, because I told you project plan should have all the 10 functions and the plan for each of the functions. So today we'll only see integration, and that will be part of an activity. Then another activity will be how do you direct or how do you manage the work, the whole work breakdown structure of the tasks. Then the next one will be how do we implement the knowledge? So much of knowledge we are learning, core, scope, all the processes. So basically that will be your activity. Then after the activity, you have to monitor and control those activities. Then the next one is very, very important, is the change control. Why change control? Because no matter how perfectly you plan any project, there will always be changes. Like today, one person, I forgot actually who was that. It was Jaya, or it was Tarun, who mentioned that you had a clashing and someone else has scheduled a meeting.
Tarun.
Tarun, okay, yeah. So see, so no matter how well we planned, there will be always change, and then you need to manage the change. So Today, Professor Gaurav has managed the change very well because he took the leadership to advise Tarun and say, please inform the professor that this is a pre-schedule which cannot be changed. So you can see this is a life example. How much you plan, there will be changes. So whose job is to perform the change management? It is your job. You as a project manager will manage these changes. Okay. So that is called change control. When we have more time, I will take you through the change control process. Probably the last week we will do a little bit more. And of course, the last but not the least is to close the project. It's very good to catch a fish, but catching does not end till you realize the benefit. You caught a fish, then you put in the basket, you went to the market and sold it, and that's how you got the benefit as a fisher. That means you have been able to close the project well. Okay. So that is also your role. So I'll stop for a minute and I want you to reflect on some of them in terms of the aquaponic project, just to apply the processes and the activities in the aquaponic project. Let's see how much you have absorbed. Give an example of resource management in the aquaponic project. What will you do if this project, it's a live project, someone has given you this aquaponic project, you're the project manager. What do you think will be your approach for the resource management? Just a reflection. You don't have to write, just use your reflection. How will you manage the resources?
So for aquaponics, the resource management would be the area, the
Can you
quantity.
take the microphone a little closer? Huh? Oh, okay, it's still closer. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So the building would be considered as a major resource because it was discussed that it is well designed for the aquaponics separately, and the other resource would be the fishes and the tank, because without that we cannot continue the aquaponics process itself.
Good. Excellent. So that is the resources which are ingredients for the success. Can someone give an example of how will you manage the resources called human resources, the people? How will you apply in this project?
So we would be having initially very less number of people with us, and we should
Yeah,
fix appointments with uh, the builders, and fixing the appointment with less number of people is also a management task.
very good. Very good. See, now you already started thinking like a manager. So the whole project, whole this course is about changing your mindset to a mindset of a manager. The inputs, as I told you, these are open book inputs, so it will always be with you. But at the end, the skill that you will demonstrate is a skill of a mindset of a manager. So very good examples. So let's get into another application. So let's do the number two, balancing competing demands. What could be the competing demands which you as a manager will have to solve to be successful in this project, aquaponic project? What are the competing demands, possibilities?
So maybe a demand from my boss to complete it with uh, less money. Okay, what's this?
Correct.
Project within the given time without any
Yeah,
delay.
Padma. Yeah, take
Completely
the
okay. So
yeah.
completing the whole project within the given time without any delay.
Correct. Without a delay. Because, for example, suppose you are as of today, even doing this course, you are competing with some demand of some doing some other course. Okay, so there are competing demands. Like you could have gone and attended some other lectures and studied for something else as against this. So there's a competing demand, and what you're doing is you're balancing. Correct? You're balancing your time between fundamentals of project management and maybe soil and water conservation, another course that you're doing there. So you are already managing your time, because ultimately we all have 24 hours. Whether you take one course or 10 courses, you have to manage the demands which are competing with each other. It's called competing because it is the box is same. 24 hours is same. Within 24 hours, if you give more time to fundamentals of project management, something else will be left behind. If you give more time to something else, project management will be left behind. So you're competing for time within each other. Okay, so the example was very good. Padma gave a very good example. I want someone else to give an example of interdependencies. What kind of interdependencies can be there in an aquaponic project?
Maybe it's just like scope and cost. If we take, depending on the area in which we want to set up that aquaponics, the cost depends. Like,
Yeah, come again.
one example can be, sir, like depending on the area that you are like deciding the scope. Example, the area in which we are setting. If it is large, the cost of the area, depending on that. If it is small, it reduces.
Okay.
How big the setup we want.
Okay. So you're saying the size and the cost, that means scope and the cost are interdependent. That's the example you're giving. Okay. Yeah, that's a good example. Good example. Cost and scope is always interdependent. Yeah. Any other interdependencies you can think of?
Sir, I
While
believe
set,
that like. Okay, Tarun, go ahead.
while setting up the things, I think setting up of the um, so give me a minute. Like setting up of the aquaponic structure may be dependent upon setting up of some initial things like pipes, and also uh, advanced structure depend on the basic structure in this case. Building.
Fantastic. Very, very good example. Very good example, Jay. Very good example. Yeah. In all project, you will see there are interdependencies. For example, while you're doing this aquaponic project delivering, two teams are working. One team is actually constructing, another team is actually laying plumbing line, third team is laying the electricity line, but they're working in the same areas. So therefore, there are interdependencies. Similarly, the electrician cannot come unless the walls are constructed or the roofs are constructed. Okay, or if the aquaponic is going against the wall of the balcony. So therefore, they're interdependent. So you cannot start your work unless someone else finishes their work. So this is called dependency. When we do, and if we have time to do the time management, in very great details, I'll show you what dependencies are in project management. Okay. So Jaya gave a very good example of interdependencies while delivering or constructing. Fantastic. So we got some idea now. Now, I already mentioned that we'll have enough time today to do the project charter. So I'll skip that and go to the next slide, which is basically, therefore, I'm almost like summarizing this part. Therefore, you as a boss will integrate the project in all the 10 elements. So what you're doing is the 9th element you're doing, which is integration, but you will have to actually integrate each and every area. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So now that we have understood overall the integration function of a project manager, the next important concept, like this one, which is project management is about managing 10 functions. Project management is also about managing the next slide, which is called managing the project life cycle. Now, everything has a life cycle. Human being has got a life cycle. We are born, we grow, we mature, we perform, then we decay, and then we die. Okay. Similarly, a new product, when it's launched, it is launched, it is grown, it is matured, it gives a lot of good business, and then it decays and gets obsolete and dies. Another product comes. So same for project management also, we call it a life cycle, which you have to understand. There are 5 phases of the life cycle of any project. Now, these 5 phases are called initiation phase. Like a birth, it is the initiation or the starting of a project. Now, the second stage is after initiation is a planning stage, which is also the stage of designing or planning for the project. Once plans are all done, signed, and sealed, then the third one is called the implementation stage. That means now you really jump in and start building, start delivering the project. So that is the implementation. The fourth one is basically while you're implementing, you need to continuously monitor and control. I hope everything is going well. It's like cooking. Okay. You are actually started cooking, but still you're monitoring. It should not be overcooked. It should not be burned. The salt should be right. The sugar should be right. So you're monitoring and controlling like any other project. And once it is done, closing. In the cooking example, the closing could be that the cooking is over, but still it is not over because you're putting the dish into a nice pot, which is presentable, put some garnishing on top, and really present like a nice finished product, which the benefit could be realized. Okay. So the 5 phases of the project and the 10 functions of the project are the functions of a project manager, and project manager integrates, coordinates, or manages all the 5 phases and all the 10 functions. So I'll stop here, and I want you all to remember in any interview, if anyone says, what have you learned in the project management? Okay. Your answer, the first answer which should come in your mind is, I have learned 5 phases of project and 10 functions of a project manager. The moment you say this, the interviewer knows that you've gone through a project management course and you can deliver any project. Okay. So I want someone to repeat this. What are the 5 phases of the project life cycle? Look at the slide, but explain to me. What are the 5 phases of the project life cycle?
So basically, the 5 stages of project cycle includes the initiation. Like if we are taking up a project, we consider the scope and we'll be seeing the broader perspective, like where, how, and when it can be implemented on what scale. That comes under planning. Then implementation, like properly making sure everything falls into the place which we have planned earlier. And the fourth things comes monitoring and control, where we'll be looking on like continuous, is our work going on the right track, is it progressing according, and is it meeting the scope which we have decided earlier. And the fifth part is closing, are we able to deliver what we have decided at the initial stage or not. That's it.
Fantastic, Shreya. You are hired. You have perfectly articulated. This is exactly very in a short 1 or 2 minutes you have explained. This is exactly what the hiring manager wants to hear. Very good. Now let us try and use this in our aquaponic project. Okay. What do you think will be the initiation stage? At the initiation stage, what you will be doing? Anyone jump in, please?
So do you need
So,
Sir, the need of the stakeholders will be taken care of in that part.
Is that Jyoti Raditya?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Jyoti, what happened to your camera today?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually my network is a little bit slow. I'm joining through my mobile, so that's why.
Okay, okay. No worries. When you speak, that time you come on camera. So
Okay.
that people, yeah, okay. So I think you're right. Just explain a little bit more.
Sir, what I say actually, those who have given the project, the stakeholders and the others important bodies, what their actual need is in that project. So we have to we have to fix in our mind, and we have to process throughout the, we have to process throughout the, to making this project. We have to fix in our mind. So that's maybe the first step of doing the project, and this is maybe called as the initiation process.
Very good. I will articulate that. Initiation means initiating a concept or initiating an idea. Okay. So at this stage, you don't know whether the idea will be bought or put into place or not. It's just an idea. The idea is let's do an aquaponic project. Okay. So initiation is just an idea. When the idea is approved, then only you can go for planning to execute the idea. So initiation, when initiation stage ends, planning stage starts. Now, initiation stage is an ideation stage, concept stage. It starts with an idea and it ends with a signature of approval of the idea. Okay. And I'm connecting that with today's task, which is called the project charter. The project charter is prepared at the initiation stage. And when the project charter will be signed off, only then initiation stage is over. So there's a clear demarcation when the initiation stage starts and when the initiation stage ends. So if you are given a project plan at the end, if I ask you, looking at the dates, tell me when the initiation stage ends, it's very easy for you. You will straight go to the project charter, see the last page of the project charter has got a signature block. Whoever is signed has got a date signed. So you will say on 21st of January, the sponsor signed my idea, which is in my project charter, and therefore the initiation stage got over on 21st of January. Clear? This is a tricky question. Someone in the interview might ask you, how do you demarcate which is the initiation stage and when is the planning stage starts? So very simple answer. The signature of the project charter is the end date of the initiation. That means now the project has been signed off. Okay, so we'll see the template today. Very good. Now the planning stage, who wants to give an example connecting the planning part of the aquaponic project? What will you do? Yeah, go ahead.
So for the planning part, like for the planning part, we could include like how, I mean, like how and what area can we like actually implement or set up the aquaponics, like keeping the requirement, because there'll be a house itself, and then the like rest of will be like well designed space will be will be installing the aquaponics. That will become as planning, and planning can become as what kind of cost we are going to incur, and planning may come in work. There should be a knowledge expert who will be able to even deliver, because even that need to keep in mind. I think these three things will be considered as a planning.
Okay, very good. But I'll give you a very simple answer. You will never forget because it's so simple. If anyone asks you what will you do in the planning or what you do in the planning stage, your answer is seven. It's very simple. We plan for all the 10 functions of a project. So we plan for cost, we plan for time, we plan for quality, we plan for HR, we plan for risk. Okay, so that's the simplest answer. Remember the two things if you remember, 10 functions of a project manager and 5 life cycle. All questions you can answer around that. Now, what Shreya you have done, you have then gone to little greater details of some of them. So you actually, what you did is, after you say that I will be planning for all 10 functions, then the next sentence is what you mentioned, that by the way, in the scoping function, I will plan for the details of the scope. In the cost planning, I will plan for what should be the budget or what should be cost. Okay. In the time, I will be planning what is the time plan under which I'm supposed to deliver. So now you're going to the next level to explain what you will do in the planning. But the answer is, I will be planning as a project manager all the 10 functions of cost, scope, time, blah, blah, blah. Clear? So that's what you will be doing for aquaponic project also. You will plan what is the scope, you will plan what is the time. Okay, so in the implementation stage, what will you do in the aquaponic project?
Executing the things which we planned.
Correct. Just full stop. Don't say any word. That is the best sentence you said. Implementing the plans we have already drawn up. That's it. That is the implementing stage. You already had a plan. Now just implementing the plan. Now, if someone asks, okay, can you explain more? Then you say, look, for example, I planned for delivering one fish tank, one whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I will be implementing one by one. That's it. Very simple. Okay, now what will be monitoring and controlling during the execution? Remember, the aquaponic project is not the fruits and vegetables are not growing. It is only the project being set up. So you're monitoring and controlling the project. Okay, so what will you be doing in this stage?
Maybe during the process of implementation, time to time check out and like seeing whether everything is going according to the plan. Maybe this comes under.
Correct. But we have already said that in the implementation stage, monitoring control little more than that. So monitoring control, what you do is you monitor and control the specifications that I'm going to deliver the fish tank, but as per these specifications or the quality standard. So these are the keywords, as per the specifications or the quality standard. Okay. So for example, let's go into the cooking example. I'm cooking, say, a vegetable, mixed vegetable. Now, in the mixed vegetable, I have a standard that I'm catering to some old people who have got issues with salt and sugar. So the standard in which I'm cooking is for the old people. There should be very little salt and very little sugar. So that's a specification, or that is a quality standard under which you are delivering the dish. So you will keep monitoring that the little quantity of salt and little quantity of sugar is maintained, because that's what you planned. The planning was, specification was planned, that it's for low sugar or low salt. Clear? So your answer will be, therefore, we monitor and control for the standards or for the specifications. Now, specification for each of the 10 functions could be very different. The budget is a specification. The deadline is a specification for time. Okay. The exact quality for the dish, or I gave you last time the example of the laptop or a mobile phone. That's a 5 GB or 15 GB or 1 terabyte or half terabyte. You know, those specifications. So those are specific specifications. For example, people specification. You will say, I will only hire engineers. So that's a specification. You're only hiring engineers. But if you say, no, no, I can hire non-engineers, then you will say, okay, only managers, supervisors will be engineers, but the rest will be leading hands, we call it, or the team leaders. They could be non-engineers. So that's a specification. So you monitor and control whether you hired as per the specification. Good. And how will you close the project?
It is like formally closing of the project.
Yes, very good. Formally closing. So the good, very good word you have used, Deepak. Formal is the right word here. Formal closing. Now, normal closing is when the job is done, cooking is made, cooking is made. No. But formally, the cooking is not complete in a restaurant till it is served with the garnishing and at the table of the person who ordered the food, right? That is called formal closing because now the kitchen has formally finished their part because it's been delivered to the user who is going to enjoy the benefit. Now, what is formal closing? Formal closing means what?
Determining the project completed within the budget and on time, and it is fulfilling demands and needs.
Correct. All these are
Strength and weakness of the project.
correct. So you went for the job and you gave this answer, and the person says, okay, Deepak, tell me, how do you know when the project is formally closed?
So while closing, I will present it in front of my boss,
Yeah,
get signed by them.
correct. That last word is the most important one. Remember everything. This is an objective course you're doing. You are acquiring skills, not something which is vague. So this is specific. The last word with Jaya you mentioned, the signature is the determination of the final closing. That means who has signed that? The person who hired you, the sponsor who hired you, the sponsor who gave you the money. When the sponsor signs with a date, that date is a formal closing of the project. Clear? So Deepak, your answer will be, sir, when I finally make a final report and get it signed by my sponsor, which is an approval for formally closing, that is the date for my formal closing of the project. Okay. So you will see these templates that we are going to use. No rocket science. It's all open book. But what you need to know, each template at the end should have a signature block. The signature block should have a place where someone signs and someone puts a date handwritten, not electronic, like a bank check. Okay, so we understood this project life cycle now. So what I wanted to now therefore summarize is that project life cycle is like life cycle of a product where product development happens, introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Same thing for a project. It gets initiated, then it gets planned. After planning is signed off. Now, by the way, in the planning ends when the project management plan is signed off. Okay, so you know exactly which date the project planning stage got over because the day the sponsors signed off the planning document, which is called the project plan, that date the planning stage got over. The next day you can start implementation. Okay. So then you implement. During implementation, you monitor and control. Once you know after controlling, monitoring, you're satisfied that the build was done as it was designed, as it was specified, then you formally close the project by a set of activities, which I'm not going to go today because closing itself is a full day's topic. But you do certain activities to close the project. But end of the closing is that you get a formal signature. which means that your job of managing a project is to manage all 5 phases of this project. You will initiate, you will plan, you will implement, you will monitor, control, you will close. So this is a managerial function that you're learning today. Clear, everyone? So 2 important concepts we learned. Last week we learned 10 functions, and this week we learned 5 phases.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir. In the previous slide, can you go through it once? Yes,
This
sir.
one?
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, graph one that you have shown, sir, two different graph lines are there. I mean, the green one and the violet one, which have the different areas. What this signifies actually?
Okay, don't worry. I will tell you the answer, but don't worry. That was the graph was not important. I was trying to draw a parallel between what life cycle is. But now that you ask the question, the green line is the sales of the new product, and the colored line, the red or maroon line, is the profit that you get from the sales. So what it shows that though the sale starts from zero and slowly it grows, you can see, just 1 minute. Yeah, the green, can you see my cursor?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Okay, so the green line is basically from zero, the sales of a new product introduction grows, but at the beginning, you are actually making loss because the sales is very low. That is why it is below the x-axis. It's
Yes,
a
sir,
negative.
got it.
It's in the negative. But after the introduction growth stage, only you start earning profit. But anyway, don't worry about this part. The objective was not that. The objective was to draw a parallel between life cycles, because normally when you talk about product life cycle, people understand that the product is introduced, developed, introduced, growth, matured, and decline. I was trying to draw similarities here: initiate, design, plan, implement, control, and close. But most important, what I want you to know, that the function of a project manager is 10 functional areas and 5 phases of the project's life cycle. So concept to completion is your responsibility. It's your baby, your project, concept to completion. Clear? Okay, now that we've learned these 2 very, very important functions, we will now see, therefore, what you will do as a manager. The first, you will plan the delivery, which we've already seen. Now, I'm going to introduce a simple concept. There are 3 types of planning you can have to deliver your project. The first one is called sequential planning. That is, you finish something, then you start something. So when something is finished, something else is started. It's called a dependency or a relationship called finish to start. Some previous task has to finish for the next task to start. Okay, so called finish to start. The other one is you cannot wait sequentially, you can overlap or parallelly, like you have done some electrical engineering, basics of electrical engineering you must have done, where there are circuits which are parallel, circuits which are in a series. So first one is like a series. The second one, have you done some electrical engineering? I'm sure you've done in the first or second year. Yes or no?
Yes, sir, yes.
Yeah, so this is very similar. So it's like a parallel circuit that you overlap the tasks. Now, what do you think the benefit of overlapping the task? Who can tell me
So
what are
if
the
like there is any kind of like change in scope or any kind of deliverability, or if you want to update something, this particular methodology can be used.
Yeah, that is good, but there is a fundamental difference between the two.
So
Sir,
the interdependent task, this method will be helpful.
Very good. Actually, all of them, even in series, the sequential, they're also interdependent. But can you see here? Okay, let me hear, Jaya, you had some thoughts before I give the answer.
So can we assume that it is a like agile methodology because it is shown as like fast tracking? Because agile is like a quick product cycle.
Correct. Remember, the start and end of the sequential is so long, whereas when you stack it up like the overlapping phase, it is crashing, it is shorter. So the main benefit of overlapping phases is that you can do multitasking, because at any point of time multiple tasks are going on, and therefore the project can be delivered quicker and faster. Okay, so that is the planning that you will do. Now you can only do if it is possible to do multitasking. Not every time all the tasks can be carried parallelly. You can't do all the things parallelly. Okay, so wherever possible, you will actually do simultaneous overlapping parallel tasking. But when it is not possible, you do sequential planning. When you will go to a nursery or a kindergarten, and you will see when babies are taught, they are taught sequentially because it's complex to handle multitasking. So babies will say, okay, bring that ball and put it in this, go and do this activity. So one task at a time. As you become better and better, that's the time you will be able to handle multiple tasks. So most complex projects are handled with overlapping phases. And the iterative or the incremental lifecycle project is basically, it's neither sequential nor overlapping, but iterative. What is iterative? First, its example is a vaccine development. Okay, no one knows what is the vaccine going to come out at the end of the project of a vaccine development project for COVID. So first I do some experiment. Now I learn from the experiment, and because of that experiment, I know so much benefit I've got, but something is not working. So based on that effect of the iteration, I do the next iteration. And then again, I test it out and say, is it killing or it creating the antibodies? And then I learn something more, and then incrementally I learn to deliver the project in complete satisfaction through a process of iteration. Okay, so that is the iterative process. So this is what you will do as a project manager. You will decide whether you will do sequence, overlapping, or iterative. Clear? Okay. The next you will plan how will you govern the project. Now, the governance is structured, like for IIT, there's a governing body, there's a director, there's a senate, they govern, there's an academic board. Similarly, if you're going to any company, say Tata, there will be a board of directors who will be governing. They are not CEOs. Under the board of directors, there will be a CEO who will be executing. So similarly, in your project, you have to plan for a governance model. What is the best governance model that will give you the best results? So for that, I'm introducing 3 quick concepts, which will be easy for you to remember. One governance model could be a simple project-based governance model. Now, what is the project-based? The project itself is the whole project, and therefore the authority lies with the project manager. So therefore, if it is a small project, you would like to govern like a small project in which you are the boss. Governance means who governs, who is at the top, who is the boss. Remember this, governance means who is at the top and how from the top it cascades down. So here you will say project-based means project manager is the boss. Or you can say it seems to be a complex project. Within that project, there is some civil engineering, some electrical engineering, some other very complex projects. So therefore, these individual engineerings could be considered as projects. So civil engineering is a project, the mechanical, plumbing, air conditioning part could be another project. And all these put together could be called a program. So therefore, the governance becomes the program manager is a boss. Because under the program manager, there will be project managers. Clear? So complex projects have got project within project. So therefore, when it is project within project, the overarching project is not called project. The overarching project is called the program. So under a program, you have projects. So the program is to develop an aquaponic system. Within that, I have certain programs. Someone will deal with the installation. Someone will deal with the whatever that maintenance. Someone will deal with the other stakeholders, who are the real estate managers or the people who are going to buy. Someone is going to manage the sales and marketing. So you can call each of them as projects. So marketing is a project. Okay, construction is a project, and all of them could come under one program manager. So that's the governance model. And the last one is a matrix governance. Matrix means it's like a box, square box. So you have at any point of time two bosses. So project manager, the program manager is the boss for the program. But since you do not know anything about electrical installations, the electrician who is in your project will also report to a head electrician who knows about electricity, high voltage and low voltage and things like that. So therefore, it's called a matrix structure. So you can create a structure where dual reporting. Okay, so now you have learned there are three types of governance model: project-based, program-based, and matrix-based. Okay, so let's quickly apply to the aquaponic. So you can actually choose any of them. Which one will you choose? And you can have different answers, but your logic will decide as a project manager which governance structure you want to choose for the aquaponic project. So who wants to go? Who wants to give it up?
Sir, I will choose the project-based model, because the project manager has the supreme authority in that case. So I will choose.
Good. So what Jyotiraditya has mentioned is that he wants the project manager to have supreme authority, and that is why he wants to go the project base. Now this one we call, in the project manager language, we call the reason for choosing project base is the control. Okay, the control will be with Jyoti, because he wants not only to deliver the project, but he wants also to control the project. So the reason for control is the reason for choosing project-based governance model. Okay, anyone wants to try another one? Why will you choose any other?
Sure, I think in my view, it should be program based, because first we need the approval from the sponsors, because without cash we cannot go further. And not only that, it includes different departments, because there'll be people who will be setting up the whatever the aquaponic structure. There'll be people who will be checking up the on the correct time are we getting the supplies. There'll be one person to check the other specification as quality and etc. So it's a integration process of everything.
Very good. You got also solid logic, except the first part of the logic was not right. So I'll correct you. Where you said because it will need a sponsor and the signature, that is true for all the three models. Okay, all the three models will require signature of a sponsor. But the second part, what you mentioned, Shreya, is good, because there are projects within projects. And how we say project within projects, because they're heterogeneous in the program, but homogeneous within the project. So why it is heterogeneous? Because Within the program, electrical engineering is completely different from agricultural engineering, okay, or from civil construction. So these are specified, which are heterogeneous. And that is why the heterogeneity, when it is in a work package, which is homogeneous, you will say that itself is a project. So civil construction is a project because it's one category of knowledge. Similarly, someone who is doing the agricultural engineering part, the civil engineer cannot do that. They don't know about all these dealing with the live species and plants and fishes. So that's a special, so that is a homogeneity per se. So therefore it can be taken as a project per se. So that is your logic, which Shreya, you're saying that because I see there are heterogeneity or different categories or different types of deliverables, I will use that as separate programs. And therefore there has to be one program manager on top. And Shreya, you could be the program manager. Okay, you could be the program manager, but under you, you will be having a program manager for project manager for civil construction, a project manager for agricultural part. Okay, and maybe another project manager for marketing and sales part. Okay, so that's your logic. So you will also be right. So Jyoti will also be right because Jyoti has a controlled need. Your need was different. Your need was specialization need. Okay, you want specialized people to be brought in, and therefore you will also be right. But what I'm trying to teach you here is that you will choose based on your logic what is the governance model. So now we have learned quickly, I will recap that first you will plan the delivery. In the plan, you will decide sequence, overlapping or iterative, and then you will plan the governance model, either project, program, or matrix based. Clear? Again, next is very important is you need to, in the integration, you need to integrate the project through certain documents. Okay, so documentation is very important part of a project manager's competency. So you will conduct project documentation. And there are two key documents that we'll learn today. One is a project charter, another is a project plan. Okay. Now, project charter, I mentioned, it is in the initiation stage. For a concept to be signed off, you use a overarching broad proposal, if I may say so. And project plan is after the charter is signed, then you will prepare a detailed plan, how you will implement or execute. Okay. Project plan will have at least 10 different sections, one section for each of the 10 functions. Project charter is a summary of the entire project in 2 or 3 pages. So we will see what is a project charter. So basically a project charter is a document that formally authorizes the project or formally authorizes the proposal or formally authorizes the concept. So that is the project charter produced during the scoping of the initiation stage, and it needs formal signature. And I will see the sample. I will do the sample right now. So this is a typical project chart template. If you can't read properly, don't worry. It has been uploaded, so you can download it from your team resources. But I will go through in great detail. So this is a simple template where you will write the name of the project prepared by you as a project manager or program manager, which date it is. Always remember, dates are very important in project management. It looks very simple and silly, but dates are important. Then you will write why have you initiated this, a synopsis of your plan. So I'll take you through a little later, but at this point of time, you see it's a 2-page template. Okay, so that's what we will practice today. But going back to project charter, so at the end of this, you will go to the sponsor. Like last week, we have done feasibility. Okay, because now you know the project is feasible, you have formally going and asking for money. So if you're a startup operation. After feasibility is the project charter, where you will see project is feasible, and I'm giving an overview that so much of money I need, this is what I'm going to deliver, I will take this much of time, very overview of your concept and get it signed off by someone who's going to give you money. So that is project charter. And I mentioned the project plan is after the charter is signed off, it will have 10 sections and all the 5 phases. Okay, all the 5 phases and the 10 sections. Now, a template for the project plan, I'm going to give you. Okay. So because there are 10 sections, today we are only doing integration. So I've given you only one section. It's a real example. You can read at your leisure. So a typical integration management plan, which is one of the 10 plans. So there will be, if you see in the middle, it's written project integration plan. You will be writing project cost management plan, project time management plan. So like this, 10 plans you will write. So today I'm just showing you how an integration management will look like. And that's what you can read, how it looks like when it is delivered. And when you go to real life, you need to prepare these ones. So therefore you need to know, first you need to have a template. Second, you need to know what to write in which section. But we'll see that later. Okay. So I'm going back to what I said is that as a project manager, you will need some tools, which is the project documentation. Now, charter and plan is what we're planning. These are tools for integration. Project charter, we have known it is a formal document for authorizing the project. What we call the project becomes in flight after the charter. You know, the project is in flight mode now. That means it is in the sky. Till that it was sitting in the ground. Okay, initiation stage, it is sitting in the ground. You do not know whether it will take off or not take off. So we use this vocabulary when the charter is signed off. These are in-flight projects. That means the project has already taken off the ground. It's no longer in the ground. It is an in-flight project. So, therefore, the last one that you need to know is how to write an integration management plan. So if we do integration, we'll do integration management plan. When we do time, we'll do time management plan. When we do cost, we'll do cost management plan. Each has got different templates. So this is a very simple template to write your integration management plan. You write the methodology to integrate. How will you manage the change or the change control? How will you record the performance, overall performance of your coordination? How will you do the auditing to check that overall the project is delivered as per specification? Then you will write about the dependencies, that you can deliver all these provided because you're dependent and so and so. So all the dependencies we write. So don't need to go anything more than that, because as I told you, these skills are open book skills. Know that there's a template, and I've given you an example, filled in example, which you can download and read. Okay. So that way you will be able to write an integration management plan for aquaponic project. For that matter, any project, because you will write the methodology. How will you control the changes? How will you evaluate the overall performance? How will you monitor, audit, and control? And what will be your dependencies? Because many things are not in your hand. You're dependent on many, many other things. For example, you're dependent on the cash flow from your sponsor. Sponsor is signed, I'm giving you 2 lakh Indian rupees, but not giving you on time. So you're dependent on the cash coming in. Okay. You're depending on certain supplies. Now, certain supplies are available in Kharagpur. Certain supplies you need to hire from Mumbai. certain supplies are not even available in India. You need to get it from Germany. Okay, so these are your dependencies. So you will write those dependencies that I will be able to perform based on these dependencies. So now, more or less, you have got a mastery over the integration plan. I've tried to give it in a simple simple
Hello.
lecture, if I may say so.
Hello,
Yeah.
Dr. Mukherjee. Actually, like it's almost 1.5 hours. Is it possible to give them 5 minutes break?
Yeah, let's get a 5 minutes break, but give me 5 more minutes because
Okay.
after the break we will straight get into the activity because
Okay.
the rest part is activity. I've almost finished.
Okay.
So let me complete this section and we'll give a break. Thanks, Gaurav, for that. I like time management because I get carried away. So thank you for reminding me. So this is a template, and the other one is a project management. Is basically this is a standard template where you don't need to go into details. All that it says that to create a project charter, you need to get some inputs. Then you'll use certain tools and techniques, and you'll get the output. The output is the project charter. Okay, so that's what the template that we wanted to show you. And then I'm completing today's topic, the knowledge part, that what we have learned today is we have learned what is integration management. Okay, what do you integrate? You integrate the processes, the people, and you integrate the what are that? I'm also forgetting. Let's go back. First slide.
People,
Yeah,
practice, process.
practices. People and practices. That's right. The practice is basically the knowledge part. Okay, so that's what we integrate. Process level integration, practice level integration, and the people level integration. That's what we learned. And we learned some specific examples of each of the processes and activities. So let me go back to my last slide. So we have learned what to integrate, that is people, process, and practice. Then we learned, most importantly, the life cycle. Every project has got a life cycle, 5 life cycle. Then we have learned how to deliver and govern. So deliver sequentially or parallelly or matrix, govern based on project or program or matrix. That's what we learned. And then lastly, we learned that project documentation is very important because that helps us in terms of managing the project overall. So are you comfortable with this, the knowledge part? Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
in that case, we'll take a break. After the break, we'll do a quick quiz for 10 minutes. Okay, what we have learned, and then we will do the assignment for the balance minutes or hours that we have. So let's take a 5 minutes break and come back in 5 minutes. And thank you, Gaurav, for reminding me. It's very important to take these breaks.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we'll meet at
Sir,
10:40 then.
Come again. Someone was saying
It's for
something.
the students. Like we'll meet at 10:40. It's 10:35 here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just take a comfort break, grab a coffee, whatever. I'll also go and have some glass of water.
Shreya was saying something, I think. Okay.
Okay, right on time. So how you plan to give the assessment to them? Gaurav, Praveen?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I
Am
can
I
hear.
audible, Dr. Mukherjee?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. So yeah, Praveen, like, would you like to say something? Like, yeah, actually, Praveen, he has already checked it. He has already checked the activity, and he has given some comments on it as well.
Oh, okay.
So the students can attend those comments, and we can get in touch with them. So to discuss about if any further our activities are required. Like, I mean, like, our discussions are required or not with them. So I'll directly talk to the students, and we can get it done.
So that is for the last week's
Yeah, that is for
project.
the last one. Yes.
Okay, good. Huh? So that is very good. So basically, if there is any gap in knowledge or understanding, I can take the questions today.
Yes.
But looks like it will be very simple. So I don't think there should be an issue. But yeah, we'll keep some time today in case you think that uh, they need to resubmit any
No,
part.
I don't think they should resubmit. Everyone is up to the mark, so it's okay. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. So then let's now introduce today's knowledge questions.
Yes. Uh, Praveen.
So actually, I'm having couple of doubts.
Yeah, sure.
So like in the balancing competing demand, can we include like our competition, like our competitor as balancing competing demand because we want to deliver a product with particular quality before our competitor launches it. Can it be considered?
No, competing demand is competing demand to deliver your project where your resources are competing for some other purpose and therefore you need to balance it out. So competitor is different. Competitor is probably will come from the at the feasibility stage. Competitor might come in terms of the SWOT analysis. Uh, so while delivering the project, the competition is really not unless there is a risk factor from the competition. So when we do risk management, we can bring in the competition. But what we are doing today, the integration, I don't see there is any scope for competitors playing in my integration because competition is external, whereas integration is internal. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
sir, one more question, sir. In the project life cycle, for the
Uh-huh.
initiation part, can we conclude that initiation is followed? I mean, sorry, first we are going the feasibility study report. After that only we are going for the initiation. Is it right? I was
Correct,
having been doubt.
correct, correct. Shreya, you're right. Unless a feasibility study is done, you cannot defend a concept and you cannot even go to your sponsor to ask money because you yourself are not sure whether it is feasible or not feasible. So feasibility study is first, then is the initiation document, which is the project charter.
Okay, sir. And last doubt. So,
Yeah.
what is the basic difference between B plan and project chart? Because in the template there were many similar components which were already present in a B plan because I have studied a course of it.
So what is a B plan? Means A, B, C, D, that B?
No, sir, the business plan. What is the basic difference between business plan and project charter report?
Oh, right. Oh, there's a huge difference. A huge difference. Project charter is a simple document to give an overview of the project and get a signature and approval. Whereas a business plan is quite detailed, where you plan in very great details how you're going to conduct the business, what are the options you have, evaluating each and every options, and then making sure there is some recommendation. Then the recommendation we need to get into the next level, which is called the managerial implication of each recommendation. And then from there, you see which is the most practical, feasible plan for conducting your business. So business plan is like a plan for the business that you're going to conduct, whereas a project plan is a plan for delivering a project, and a project charter is a plan for approving the project.
Got it, sir.
Okay, yeah. So you need to project management is a function which is a hands-on delivery function. Okay, there is no academic part here. So everything that we're learning is actually what we need to learn to do and deliver. Business plan is not about doing. Business plan is about planning for how to do business. Okay, so here it is charter is for, what should I say? It is for approval of your proposal or your concept, and plan will be the concept to deliver how you plan step by step and all the functions and all the stages. So it's a very delivery oriented plan. It's
Understood,
okay.
sir.
Okay. So let's, because the time is short, so can we introduce and can everyone come on camera, please? We need to be back on camera for, yeah. Right. Jyoti, you can come. Deepak. Okay. So are we ready to take the quiz?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, so you can download the quiz probably. Praveen, I believe you have.
I have posted that in the general chat, so you can please fill it just like the last class we have done. So there are some questions.
Okay, and I can show you the slide, the questions. So you can download what Dr. Praveen has mentioned, but the questions are also in front of you. So take me about 10 minutes to do this.
Oh, the questions are. The question seems different. Gaurav, the one you have posted in the email?
Oh no, this is the last night I gave you this. I've changed the question.
Okay, so the questions which I posted is completely different, so please don't fill that form right now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Maybe,
yeah, you can take time to do that. In the meantime, I can start with the presentation from my side.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Is it okay, Dr. Mukherjee? So I think in the meantime, Praveen will be preparing the this assessment, revised assessment form, and then they can go for.
Right. Yeah. So okay, we will start the next part of the assessment, which is the practical assessment. After you do this quiz. So that is, today we are going to develop a project charter. So for project charter, you need certain information. So Professor Gaurav will be giving us those information, and he will also continue to be your resource. As I told you, these are real life replicas. So while you're writing, Professor Gaurav will continue to be giving you answers. Whatever you want to ask, he will give you the answer. Your job is not to discover the answers. Your job is to collect the data and put it in a project charter template. Okay. So over to Professor Gaurav. I will just stop sharing, and then.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mukherjee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me share my screen. is it visible to all?
Yes.
Okay, so as Dr. Mukherjee has mentioned, so yesterday, last week, we have discussed about the basics of hydroponic system and the vertical hydroponic system, and also the what are the different type of urban farming systems, and what are the what are the necessities for them to be incorporated in the urban farming systems. So if you see the recent now, the urban population in 2016, it's almost 54% of the people in the world are living in the urban areas, which is expected to be up to 66% by the end of 2050. So in order, most of the food production that is happening all over the world is actually being placed in the rural area, like almost most of it. Like recently in couple of European countries, they started working towards this vertical farming and all these things. I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Yes. So recently, some European countries, I mean, even in USA, some of the places, so they started working on the vertical farming and all. Can you please mute your systems? Like, hello. Okay. So if you see the scenario right now in I think some of you haven't muted your system. I think okay, Dr. Mukherjee.
Yeah.
I think it's making an echo because it's on. No, maybe you can mute. Yeah. Sorry. So is it visible? The screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So what I was discussing, what I was telling, like, the most of the farming practices that is normally being followed in the world are done in the rural areas, right? Not in the urban areas. Urban areas, there are recent trends in Europe and US, like in a couple of cities in Japan. So they started working on urban farmings. So what do I mean by the urban farmings? It's just a simple, like, you do the farming in the urban areas, but taking into the account, the space. The most important thing is the space that is available. It's not available in the urban area. In the rural area, you can afford to have a space of, like, say, a couple of hectare, couple of square, like a couple of acres and all. But whereas even couple of meters of area in urban area cost you like fortune. So what you need to do, so people are focusing now, like most of the scientists all over the world, they're focusing now in developing vertical farming, so that to incorporate not only vertical farming, to also to incorporate the most optimized way of farming procedures, so that to give food to the local the total urban population and all. The first of all, why to do that? The increase in population, so demand is increasing. So if you have a localized food production systems, so it will help you reduce the cost for the transportation from urban area to, say, to the rural area, to the rural to the urban area. And not only that, if you do it optimized way in the urban area itself, so it will give you lot of other benefits. The first of all, as I said, like the food demand will be solved. Second thing, there is a chances of getting like a lot of manpower, and you can go ahead with this unemployment thingy. You can help the government with this unemployment thingies and all. You can raise the production, and the transportation cost will be reduced. It can be something aesthetic in terms of viewpoint as well. Sometimes what people do, they make it in their rooftop, and they make it in their nearby, like the near vicinity, like how to say, when you make an apartment, or say like apartment complex, if you have in the middle of it, if you develop in a particular way your farms and all, so it will give you some aesthetic view as well. Okay, so people can go, the children can go from that place, and they will be enjoying the greeneries there. That is the very important thing nowadays the cities are facing, and which like there are a lot of things are going on, a lot of greenhouses, the greenhouse emissions are going on in the say urban area, which can also be dissipated by having the greeneries, more amount of greeneries incorporating in the urban areas. So all these reasons and all this urban food system and food crisis and all this the pollution and all this, yeah, so that lead us to think about some solutions. So this vertical aquaponics is considered as one of the leading procedures nowadays. Like even now, it's only been couple of years that people started doing all these things. So maybe in future, this will be the future of food supply chain for the urban population, and not only that, it can be the future for all the you know how to say supplementing all the nutrient availability for the urban population. So that's why we go for this vertical aquaponic systems. So these are the necessity, these are the needs why we go for this, why decision makers start thinking about the solutions and they come up with the vertical aquaponics as a sustainable urban farming solution. Now to give you a brief about last week we already discussed. Let me give you a very intensive brief about how it works again. Okay, so you'll be very much benefited, and when you'll be writing your project charter or project plan, you'll be happy to know this fact, so that you can incorporate all your funda, all your the process details that you want. You can do that. See, if you can see my cursor.
Yes.
Okay, so if you see this aquaponic systems, what we do, we have this fish feed or the biomass. Okay, so the fish feed we are introducing to the system. So once we introduce this fish feed to the system, so what happened, that ammonia, the amount of ammonia or or also a couple of other carbon compounds also get increased, right, in the fish pond. So this fish feces and also the uneaten the fish feed are causing this nitrogen level to increase in the system. So how to get rid of this ammonia and nitrogen? We can go for the nitrification procedure, where we introduce the nitrifying bacteria. So what they will do, they will convert the ammonia nitrogen to nitrite and nitrate, and this nitrate is now like a food for the plants. So these nitrate are being assimilated by the plants, and they convert it to their biomass. So once they convert it to the biomass, what we will get? We'll get the products out of it. What kind of products we are actually talking about? It can be leafy products, it can be fruit products, it can be vegetables, whatever it is, whatever our target crop species it is. So by means of this, and also by contributing or the assimilating all the nitrate present in the wastewater coming from the aquaculture pond, the plants are actually cleaning the procedure, purifying that water, right? So the water which is coming out of the hydroponic system at the end, like the plant where it is planted, it's called hydroponics, right? So once it is, the water which is coming out of this system are pure enough. So now we have a very nice circle. So where we can get a self-sustainable system where the wastewater treatment doesn't have to go separately. We have to do separately. The system itself can purify the water, and it can supply the water to the fish tank or the aquaculture, whatever the aquaculture species we are targeting to culture there. So this way we can generate a very self-sustainable food production system by using the aquaponic system. So we know the reason behind the urban farming, we know the reason behind the aquaponic system. So how to start with? I think you guys already have an idea about, when we start any project, any kind of project, whether it be fintech, whether it be agri-tech, whatever it is, we try to procure the materials first, right? We have to first of all, in order to start it, once you're done with all the preparation of plan, charter, financing authority is okay with your plan, and he's going to give you the money that you're asking for, or say some after the discussions, now you want to start the project altogether. So now first thing that you need to do, you need to procure the materials. Okay, so in order to procure the materials, so what you need to do first, you have to identify what are the items that you need. In this particular case, what we need, can you guys tell me what is the basic things, what are the basic raw materials that we need to procure before starting an aquaponic system? Give me some basic, from your point of view, what are the basic stuffs that we need to buy or need to procure? Suppose I'm asking you, like, you know, any one of you, like, you are given the money that you require, like, okay, just go ahead with your project plan, and so just start buying the stuff. What are the stuffs that we need to buy? Don't worry, like, it can be like, I'm 100% sure you'll be right, like, because it's a very basic thing. You already know the procedure, you already know the process.
Sir, fish
So
tank.
the fish.
A tank will be there.
Hmm?
Fish tank will be there, the fish tank.
Yes, perfect.
Fish tank.
That's very important, very good. And then?
Full hydroponic setup.
Yes.
And plants or seeds for the
Exactly.
hydroponics.
Exactly. Exactly. Anything else we need?
So fishes and the water requirement.
Exactly. Fishes and water, fresh water requirement. That is very much important. We need to think about it before it. Anyway, and what else?
Sir, water pipe.
Exactly, the
Bioreactor
conduit
and
system.
the solid separate.
Exactly, solid separator system. It's very important. Solid separator system and the bioreactor. Yes. Anything else you guys can think of?
Human resource.
See, this is different thing. Human resource you cannot procure. You got my point. Human resource is a completely different thing. It's not something that you want to buy or you want to procure. It's like, it is this human resource who will be involved with the project. That is separate, and that will come up to the to that point, to come to the slide. So procurement, as you guys have mentioned, is perfectly, like, almost covering all the requirements for this project. So in order to go one by one, first of all, we need to think of what type of fish or what type of culture species that you will be culturing in a fish tank in your aquaculture tank, aquaponic system, in like aquaculture tank. So based on that, you have to think of searching for the seed for it. You know, you have to find out the seed. You have to go for the search for the fingerlings, and once it is in a cultivable stage, you just replace it to the our aquaculture tank. That's the first thing that you have to procure, and you have to think of very, like, initial stage of your project, because you have to think of, like, where to buy, where you can find that particular type of species, where to find those seeds, so that you can introduce it to your system. Second thing is the crops. Same, the crop also you have to think of beforehand. What are your target species? It can be lettuce, it can be eggplant, it can be tomato, whatever it is. So whatever it is, you have to think of beforehand and search for the seed for those plants. You can go to the local market, you can buy the online markets. There are a lot of online applications are also available with some of them. I forget the name of that company. There are a couple of companies which our IIT Kharagpur alumnus has all they only form, and there also you can go and search for it and ask them to provide you with the seed of all the required plant that you're targeting to produce. Third thing is the engineering stuff. What are the engineering stuff? You have to have your tank, you have to have your hydroponic system done. It can be of NFT, we call it nutrient film technique, if you remember, which simply like a pipe-like structure. It can be of like deep water culture, where you have to have a big of a tank with a shallow water depth, where you will be having raft-like structure, the thermocol based raft, where you'll be placing the plant. Okay, so these are the engineering these are the stuffs that you need to procure. The pump, the conduit lines, plastic UPVC pipe or PVC pipe, based on your load. You can go ahead with the aerator. You know, that is very important. You have to provide aeration to your fish all the time, to your culture species all the time. So the aerator is one of the important thing. You can go ahead with the suction pump, because you need to suck the water. You need to take the place that water from the fish tank to the bioreactor, and from bioreactor you can place it above the hydroponic system, or you can place it below the hydroponic system. And once the bioreactor procedure is done, that water can be taken to the most upper part of the upper level of the hydroponic system. So it will come down automatically through due to the gravity, and then water can be automatically come back to the fish tank. So these are the things that you need to think of, you know, just imagine that structure, imagine what are the stops that we need, and beforehand, and you have to write it down, each and every details, design accordingly, and after the design you go for the procurement. So that is one of the very important stage of the design, going for any engineering perspective of any like a project point of view, specifically if I say. Then what are the scopes and deliverables of this project? If you see, as I mentioned you already, you have to have this plant trenches ready for you. You have to have this condensate storage. You can have your biological filter for treating the wastewater which is coming from the fish tank. You can go ahead with the secondary clarifiers, mechanical filters. You can mix the tank for the fertilizer addition. If suppose you think that the plant needs some more amount of nutrients which are cannot be available by only means of aquaculture tank. So in that case, you may be having some, how to say, idea, or you can add some system where the additional fertilizer addition can also be taking place. Okay, then the control system is there. Control system is actually taking care of the irrigation requirement. You can have a IoT based soil moisture gauge there. The soil moisture gauge will give us an idea about that. Okay, so the moisture level is going below this threshold level, let's start the drip irrigation system. So the control system will work like that. So then the condenser tubes. What is this condenser tubes? Say what, the one of the major laws. Let me ask you this question. Can you give me, from your basic understanding of the science and all, like what are the water losses can take place in the aquaponic systems? Major water losses.
Transpiration and evaporation.
Very good. Thank you so much. Transpiration, it's very important. So this evapotranspiration is the major reason of water losses in the aquaponic systems, which we might think like, it's like nothing, it's couple of millimeter or couple of milliliter or maybe couple of centiliter. It's not like that. It's in liters. Okay, so it's not in liters. I'm telling you, it's in kiloliters. If we talk about the bigger sized or larger sized the aquaponic systems and all, like where you have a very huge fish tank and very huge plantation systems and all. So this loss of fresh water can be minimized. So there are systems that we are developing in IIT Kharagpur itself. We are working on it. So what we are doing, we're trapping that evapotranspirated water. We're trapping that evapotranspirated water by means of air circulation systems, maintaining proper heat transfer units. And what it will do, it will condense the water which is being evaporated or evapotranspirated, and that water is taken back to the fish tank. By means of that, we are reducing the freshwater intake like anything. So if you talk about the urban farming, that's the very important thing that you have to worry about, the source of fresh water. Because if you see, let me give you an example, the Bangalore. In the Bangalore, even like couple of 1,000 feet below the groundwater, the ground level, you won't find the freshwater sources because it's almost done. Like only source of fresh water for Bangalore is the nearby rivers from the other cities. Like maybe they are coming from like 15 to 20 minimum kilometers away from the city outskirts. So in this kind of cities, in this kind of urban areas, you have to worry about the freshwater thingy, and you have to introduce this kind of systems. So see, these are the deliverables, these are the scope, these are the the units that you need to think about before starting an aquaponics system. Okay, so any doubt about the system, or any doubt about the requirements of the procurement details about anything? Anyone? Okay, so the next thing is coming into the picture is the cost. So say I'm giving you just a very big example here. It's like, say, like I need an equipment. I need all the equipments, all the necessary things to procure in the beginning of the project. Is say like it needs 2 lakh rupees. Okay. So with that 2 lakh rupees, you can start your project and you can go ahead with it. So I'm not discussing about all the capex, opex, and all what are the other the costing and how it can be, what will be the depreciated value for each components, what will be the total shelf life or the project life, and then after the project life, what will be the salvage value of all the final products. I'm not talking about in details. It comes with another detailed discussion and all. So suppose we have a overall cost of your system, say like 100%. So this particular graph is showing you the approximate details of the cost involved with the aquaponics system, say like 34% labor cost, 24% fish feed cost, like when you procure the fish feed, 15% juveniles that you'll be introducing to your systems, the fishes that you'll be introducing to your system, 12% electricity, 8% heating. I'm taking this part also into consideration, because sometimes we are not talking about farming in India only. If we talk about farming in European countries, or talking about the US, or say like the temperate region rather than the equatorial region, then in that case you need to provide a continuous heating also. The good thing about this, the science has developed enough. We go for geothermal heating systems, where once you installed it, you don't have to worry about, at least the temperature difference can be minimized up to 10 to 12 degrees Celsius using the geothermal heating systems. That is normally being practiced in the temperate region, all their the greenhouses and all. Okay, so but still it ends up with some additional requirement for the heating and all, and so that's why I consider that as well. Transportation, 3% is like I have taken into consideration that transportation is also an important thing. The transportation of different other variables, or the procurement of stuffs. Variable machine costs 2%, other variable costs 1.5, materials, veterinarian, hygiene, water, etc., etc. So this is this circle is actually showing you this the exact the how to say the different cost that is involved with the percentage of the total cost that involves with the development of aquaponics systems. So once you know the cost, once you procure the stuff and all, now you go for the scheduling your project, and you have your own milestone. You fixed it even before the project starts, so you fix it by yourself. Like, so okay, so like the project will be finished in 4 phases. Say it will start from August and it will finish on November. So we have like 4 months. I know what exactly, being a project manager, you have to have a clear view in your mind what you're gonna do after even 3 months. Unless until you are clear about your project goals or the phase goals, like your project will not be successful. Because see, like once you start your project, you just know that okay, let's bring some fish and let's have some crop and let's start the project. But you don't know when you have to start like thinking of how to say harvesting your crops. For harvesting your crops, you need to use the manual interventions, or you can do it using the machines as well. But you have to have this prior thing in your mind that after 45 days your crop will be at its harvestable stage, and then you have, in order to harvest it, you need to recruit at least say like another 5 people for harvesting that particular those plants. So that thing should keep in your mind. You should keep in your mind. Otherwise, what will happen? It will either ripen out or something can happen. Okay, so that's only an example that I can give you right now. So there are hundreds of examples. There are hundreds of things are there which you have to keep in your mind, being a project manager. That once you start the project, the milestones has to be well defined, and the phases, according to the phases, you do your job, and you preoccupy yourself, or you preoccupy all the manpower to do all the jobs that is already given in the this design milestone that you made by you. So when you do this kind of sustainable processes, sustainable urban vertical aquaponic systems, first milestone will be like initial calculations and the design. Then you redesign the irrigation system, you instrument and the structure and the controller design. That should be your phase 1. Second phase will be procuring materials, the system drawing, complete the drawing, final design and all, and start designing the power systems and AQB constructions and all. Then you go for power system. Let's say like in the third phase, you can go ahead with the power system tested and completed. You can go ahead with the construction of the aquaponics and all the initial functionality of your aquaponics system. By the end of 3rd month, you can do that. The last phase, when you start it, you start thinking about what will be the troubleshooting for all the problems that you're facing. Okay, so you go for all the system troubleshooting and finalize the testing and prepare a project manual, report and presentation. Okay, so that is the 4th phase. Then once you have this project done, once you know that this is the up to the project, the phase 4, you are ready with the stuff, you are ready with the project details, you're ready with all the milestones, you are already keeping all the things in your mind as a project manager. Then you go ahead with the project. Another important thing is the human resources. Human resources is very important because why? Because see, like you are not doing it by alone. Okay, you may have all the ideas by yourself, but unless until you have proper people or the like human like proper support by other human resources, or I mean like other people, you cannot do the project by alone. You have to have find out people who can go ahead with say like construction of the aquaponic systems. You have to find out the people who can help you out with getting the the funding, say like financing authority or the people who are in the financing body. You have to take care, you have to make sure that you are already get all the permissions from your own organization. Say like if you are working under an institution, so you have to get all the permission done. Those people are also are the human resources, important human resources, involved in this project. The teamwork selection and all, you have to have hire an actual manager, or you have to do it by yourself. Like who will be the person who will be involved in different stages or milestones to complete all the milestones of this project. Okay, so that is important thing. Then next thing is the stakeholders. The stakeholders, it can be investors, it can be the community who will be getting benefited from your systems, it can be the trade unions who will be supplying you with the workers and what to say the helpers for designing or for engineering or for finalizing the structure of your system. It can be the government bodies. The government bodies are also the stakeholders because they will be giving you the financing initial, say like initial project grant, or the how to say the some initial the bank or bank and also will be giving you some loans. There will be the suppliers who will be providing you with all the supplies that you require for the procurements. Then there comes the customers. Customers are the very important stakeholders because they are the one whom you are going to sell. Otherwise your product doesn't mean anything unless until you cannot sell, or you cannot have people who will be utilizing your product. So those are the people who will be who are one of the major stakeholder, and you have to take care of it. Like your customer satisfaction is more important. In that case, you have to you have to make some changes in your system so that your output of your system, say like in this particular case aquaponics product, should be good enough and should be have such like some good amount of demand to your customers or the local nearby facilities and nearby the urban areas and urban population. You can do it in your apartment, and your apartment people should say like, okay, so let's have they will plan by themselves, and like let's have a meeting and let's have tomato this season. So you have to abide by the customers. In this case, all these people, all these apartment people are the customers. They should have a say, like, no, if you start doing lettuce all the time and the customers doesn't like lettuce in your apartment, so they will like, no, why? It doesn't make any sense. Like, you guys are doing this vertical aquaponics systems in my property, in our property, and whereas you keep on producing lettuce. I need tomato, come on, like, let's give me tomato, I eat all those things. So it's just I'm giving you an example, like, how the stakeholders relations are very important. And on the creditors, okay, that you also know, so we'll be getting all the benefits and all. That is also an issue here. So with all these discussions that we have, we are suppose hiring you, okay, as a project manager, so to deliver this particular urban aquaponics project, this vertical aquaponics project. So what we'll be expecting from you to do is to develop a project charter. Okay, so what you guys will be doing as a project manager, you'll be developing a project charter based on the facts and informations that I have just given you for an urban vertical aquaponics project. Okay, so over to you, Dr. Mukherjee. You can go ahead with further discussion so that they will benefit.
So I will share my screen now.
Sorry, Professor,
So,
I have one announcement to make. Now the quiz is ready. So
okay. So what we'll do is, because we have lost a little bit of time today, I'm sorry for that. Let's get into the charter itself, and then we'll come back to the quiz at the end. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll get to the quiz. So can you see my project charter template?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, and Professor Praveen can now actually upload the slides for today, which I've already shared, so that you can download and start referring to those ones, because this template is important. And is it possible for someone to put this template in a Google Doc, or so that we can all work together and fill this in? How did you do the last one, the feasibility? Did you do a common doc and everyone worked, or how did you do it? Feasibility report that last week we created.
Have you guys done it like in Google Doc with a shared here, or you have done it individually?
No, sir. We have done it individually. Like we prepared our part from different perspective, but then we shared a docs form in our specialized group. Then one person from our group who made the document.
Okay, good. So we can do the same thing. Don't worry about too much about the methodology, but let's work together on filling up the template. Okay, so I will be of help in terms of the project management documentation, and Professor Gaurav will be able to help you in terms of the technical part. So what should be the name of the project? So can someone fill this in, and what should be the name of the project?
Urban aquaponics, as mentioned by Professor.
Okay, good. So write that down. There's no right or wrong, as I told you. We are only practicing to have a skill how to create a project charter. So write something, you can always improve that later. So who should it be prepared by? Whose name should go there?
Like name of all the team, I suppose, because it's a combined project.
Okay, so in real life, it doesn't happen. There's one person name goes there. So whose name goes there?
Project manager.
Correct. So it'll be always the project manager. So you need to write the name of the project manager. In this case, you are the project manager, so your name will go there. Correct? Okay. So what will be the date of the project charter?
Today's date.
Today's date, current date, yeah. But in a real life, if sometime project manager comes a little late in life, when the project has already started, and then you will be required to do project documentation, because people have progressed with the project, but no documentation has been created. So in that case, you'll go back to the minutes of the meeting and see when the project initiation took place and when the signatures happened. So it will be in the initiation period. So a date will be between the start and before the planning started, or a date before the signatures happened. Good. Now, what will you write about initiation? So I want you to now, over to you, to read what's there in the template and tell me, verbalize what will you write in the initiation. And it will be a little more than what is written there.
So can we include like who funded the project?
Because it is going to the funding person now, it is going to the investor now. So here here, yeah, this is the initiation stage. So you are addressing this to the initiator, the funding person. So what will you write there? So he or she will read this and then approve. So what will you write here? See, this is what happens. I'm happy you're struggling a little bit because you will be struggling in real life. I told you when I graduated from IIM Ahmedabad, the first day my company told me to write a one-page brief on a product. I couldn't write, and he said, "You're from the best institute from IIT and IIM. You can't even write a simple document." So that's what I'm preparing you today, that you will be able to write very well. So what's your idea? Let's make some mistakes and learn from the mistakes also. What do you think you will write there?
Meeting the needs of urban requirements in terms of food through aquaponics. Maybe the idea.
Right. Remember, this will be like a story to be told in a written form to the project financer, the investor, or the sponsor. Okay. So first thing the investor would like to have, because the next one is synopsis. So in the synopsis, you're giving the whole project. So first one is a synopsis of the synopsis. Okay, the initiation part should be the synopsis of the synopsis. So what will you write there? You're starting to tell a story to the investor.
Sir, as it says, the name of the story, maybe the name of the project and the designated.
No. So basically, you will say that this project charter is prepared for the reason of maybe funding or approval, and the project is about vertical farming in urban lands, and you are proposing to be the project manager. So very one-line brief of telling the story at the very broad level. That this is the project, this is the person who is going to deliver the project, and then you write the synopsis. So what will you write in the synopsis?
This is
Just a question, sir, for the initiation. Since you are separately mentioning project name and prepared by, is it the same thing that you're doing in initiation, just keeping it in sentence or anything else?
It is like a little bit of sentence, as if you're telling the story. Today, I'm going to tell you a story of David and Goliath. Two characters in the story is David and one is Goliath. So it is like initiation. You're initiating a storytelling session. Okay. So Tarun, your answer is yes. You will repeat that a little bit, but you will add a little bit more. So the project is, because sometimes the project names may not be actually telling a lot. So you will articulate saying, this is a vertical urban farming project that we are proposing, and I'm going to be the project manager, or this is my company ABC company is the project manager who designated me as to be the project manager. So I'm writing this project charter to request for fund. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So what will you write in the synopsis?
Sir, as in urban population is growing at a speed rate, and the space is fixed, it has become a problem for us to meet the food requirements of urban people. And as there is a need for coming up with an innovative idea for solving this problem, we are introducing something called as vertical aquaponics systems, which can be applied even in a single room of urban areas, and uh, much high in these particular systems. Uh, we are going to get a good profits by using very less resources such as fish tank, aquaponics, hydroponic systems, etc.
Fantastic. Jaya Chandra has given us a very good synopsis. So it's very clear to me. Anyone who is reading is should be very clear. What you have done, basically, you have said, why are you doing this project? What is there in the project? When you will be doing, and how much resources you will be requiring, and what kind of benefit you might get. So basic questions: who, when, how, what. Okay. So very good synopsis. Exactly what Professor Gaurav has given us, the reason for this project, the reason this project is undertaking. Very good. Let's go to the next one. The purpose of the business need. Remember, the project is always aligned to the business. If you remember our slides, I'll show you. Right at the beginning, you're engaging with the sponsor. And I mentioned when you do the integration, you got two roles. One role is to engage with the sponsor. And there, your engagement is to align with the strategic objective and the business or portfolio objectives. Okay, so that will come here. Okay, so what are the strategic objective and what are the alignment with the business? So that is in this template called the purpose and the business need. So what will you write here? Remember, most of the projects are actually solution of any needs. Okay, the need is not fulfilled, therefore you introduce a project as a solution to the need. So what is the need to go for urban vertical farming?
Sir, one can get rid from the food scarcity.
Yeah, that's good. Good one, Jyoti. Yeah. Yeah, Shreya.
So one more need is like due to this, like there is an increase in employment rate, because that will be an opportunity that can also be included.
Correct. Any other need you can think of?
Sir, I would like to say, like, our customers will be the person who are looking for not only a good quantity of food but also good quality of food, and once they are growing that in their homes, they will always be 100% sure of the quality of food they are getting, because they by themselves will see that there is very less requirement of fertilizers and all. And
stick. Yeah. Continue. I thought you finished. Continue, please.
Yes, sir, and that is what is the need of the product.
Correct. So now you know the need of the urban farming is, first of all, the rural farming, using the same soil over and over again. Obviously, the topsoil gets depleted, the land holding is getting reduced. The logistics of carrying a fresh food from the rural areas to the mandi to the local distribution to the bazaar, then you picking up, then eating. By the time, it's definitely not as fresh. So Jaya is mentioning that the need is to get fresh food, number one. Second is being very sure about the quality. Is it been artificially pumped up with all the fertilizers, which could be very bad for us? So you have plenty of reasons. Being a student of agriculture engineering, you can put all the needs which is required for urban people to have, it's like fruits and vegetable door delivered. You produce and door delivered. So that's a need. So you can write that very nicely there. Let's talk about the next one, the product description and deliverables. What will you write there? What is the product here?
Sir, aquaponic setup itself is a product here. Product,
Right.
and like we need to include like what are the resources required, because sir mentioned in the slides that it needs everything like storage, water like land, tank, etc. And the deliverables would be counted as getting fresh vegetables at after 45 days of time. That will be the deliverables.
Okay. You can put that way, or you can break that into the project's deliverable. Okay. The product here is basically the aquaponic setup, the whole system. So therefore, if you rely on Professor Gaurav's second or third slide, where he talked about there are 2 tanks. So 2 tanks are deliverable. Then there is a fish something, then there is some filtration. So all these are the deliverables. It's very important for you to write all of them. Now the key here is you can't miss any of the deliverables. Okay, you just can't jump from one to the other, because if the deliverables are not articulated, you will not be able to cost out whatever is not written there. You will miss later of calculating how much will it cost for that part of the deliverables. Okay. So the product description and the product deliverables are very detailed description of the entire system that the project will deliver. So basically that the blue slide where the scope and deliverables are there of Professor Gaurav. Clear? Okay. What is the next one? Project exclusion. Now this is very important. Now this is something you're learning because you're attending this course. Most of the people do not know how to write a project charter or project plan or project scope, because you do not know it is important to articulate what is not included. For example, when you go to an airlines and buy a cheap airline ticket, budget airline ticket, they very clearly said, this does not include a meal on board. Have you found that? Okay. Or if you're taking a Rajdhani Express from wherever to wherever, it says it includes a dinner. So inclusion and exclusion is part of the charter to articulate so that there's no confusion. So what should be the exclusion? Now, there is a protocol to write exclusions. What is the protocol? The protocol is anything which could be misunderstood to be included will have to be specifically told that this is excluded. So I will not write that, oh, exclusion means the seeds are excluded or the caretaker is excluded. Those are irrelevant. What is relevant here is something that people might misunderstand that this is included. Okay, so think of what can be misunderstood to be included, but not part of the project. Write those ones. So can you brainstorm? Can you talk between each other and think aloud what can be excluded here? So I'll just switch off my camera just to tell you that you're of your own, but I'm very much here.
Don't shy, this is also part of your grooving. Okay, so you guys will be asked by your companies for group discussions and all, and there you guys have to do this kind of thing, and it's very important. Try to groove yourself with this kind of activities. Anyway, you have to do in future very soon when you'll be going for the companies. And don't shy. Let's go ahead with it.
Can we guys think like it is not completely automated? For example, coming to the fish feed that we need to supply from time to time. So when they say it is not included, maybe that needs to be considered.
हाँ but वो हम product description में दे सकते हैं like it is semi-automated.
What else do we think are externally needed, which is not as a part of project we are providing once the complete setup is done, maybe after closing? Can you think on that lines just to say that this is excluded and needs to be supplied by the very anything?
Nice.
Okay, I'll give you a simple tip for group discussion or brainstorming. You actually invite everyone to say what you think so that no one can be quiet, you know. So Tarun, you've taken the lead, which is very good. Then you can say, okay, Deepak, what do you think? You know, so then Deepak has to say something. Okay, so yeah, just practice this, not more than 1 or 2 minutes because I want to finish today on time and we have got less than 20 minutes. Okay, so use the technique that I told you, invite everyone to contribute what do you think, and they may have something relevant or irrelevant, doesn't matter. But brainstorming means you don't evaluate, you just invite everyone to contribute.
Yeah.
If we are not getting anything specific, can you think on these lines like the minor stuff which doesn't impact the entire project so that we can even minimize our own cost of completing the project, for example? Necessary, but like not that important to be provided in the very initial stage of completion, maybe on that lines. All are there. Yes, Padmasri, are you saying something?
I think we can include this fact like in the initial stages of like conducting this, we cannot actually guarantee like within certain period of time you will get like this much like quality of food or something. I think that can be considered because at the initial stage.
Okay, are you referring to the time, like for example, the feed that we get, maybe depending on the plant and all that we use and the quality of feed?
Yes.
Yeah. And whatever you think might vary. So, like exclusion. When you're coming
Because
to
every particular religion.
yes.
Because every particular region has different temperature, different like topology and all, so that may also affect the life cycle of the particular whatever the quality food we are getting on time or like before or stuff.
Can you just say what the single sentence?
Okay.
Like.
So basically, it's that like we cannot guarantee that we'll get a fresh food in X and Y interval of time. Because it varies from like local areas to other, I mean area to area, depending on area like climatic changes may happen.
Freshness is depending upon.
But that is a process like that they get after we set up the entire project and ready, right? As a project itself, if we think in the initial deliverables, whatever that you are planning to, which are kind of obvious, but not necessarily be provided from our side. I think that's what project exclusions mean. So maybe I think Shreya, the whatever point is valid, but I feel that that is like it comes later, right? Like, that is after the project is delivered when it is actually in use. I think that when that's when this point of consideration may be coming into picture. But the project that we're referring to, providing the vertical aquaphonics system set up ready in their respective places or homes, whatever. During that time, during that deliverables, what?
I have one point from my side. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
can put the point that we are just only helping you in setting up the things, but once if something like goes wrong, we are not available for fitting those things back. Like we
And
won't
with the maintenance costs that are supposed to be paid, and like we are not giving any guarantee for the coming days
not
after this.
not guarantee, but like uh, we don't ensure to always come back and help you. Like if you want, you can call us and get help from us, but not our duty to always come and check whether it's going well.
Maybe
It should be actually if one thinks he or she might think that the quality and the quantity of the quality the point already taken over by others, then I'm trying to say ki, if someone says ki the quantity will be huge, that can be generated by that system, so that can be an exclusion, so the quantity will be always unlimited in phase. So uh, these things I think can be
yes, Jyotiraj, can you be clear as to what quantity that you are referring to? Is it the production of food that comes out, or
definitely the production of food. If someone thinks that he or she might get a huge number of foods, but in reality that might not be happen. So actually it depends on the other practical scenario also. So keeping the point in the mind that we can exclude that.
Good.
Like is
I think you had a good discussion. I think you had a good discussion. Because the time is short, you can continue this later also within yourselves. But see, this is exactly skills training, is that, everything which is required to simulate a working environment we create in the classroom. And as we progress, you will see I'll give you more time for these kind of discussions and less time to give theory, because initially we need to give a lot of input about this project, but later you will know everything. So you have got a good idea now, and you are collectively deciding what you want to include in your proposal and what you don't want to include. Now, one of the things, just for an example, you can say, I have given you a cost of 2 lakhs, but it will not include my annual maintenance contract. Okay, so that means you have to buy annual maintenance contracts extra. Okay, so just as an example. So again, no right or wrong answer, but you're practicing how to create a project charter, and you know now exactly the templates. So the next one is project management. That is easy. Basically, this is the methodology. So what will you write there?
PMBOK methodology.
Correct. So you will write PMBOK, and you will also explain a little bit of PMBOK. So what will you write? How will you explain? So what is the project management methodology you will be using?
So we would be using PMBOK. This is a body of knowledge, and uh, there are specific guidelines which helps us to look through all the 10 aspects of product or project manager by going through the project cycle.
Fantastic. And today you have learned and 10 functions and
processes.
come again, Padma?
Project
Five
phases
phases
of
of life. Correct. So now this is your vocabulary, okay? So when you speak this language, anyone who's a project manager knows you know project management. So you will write here, the project management will be done using project PMBOK methodology, and very specifically, we will be looking through all the 10 functions and the 5 phases of the project life cycle. Okay, so that should be good. Now, assumptions, constraints, and risks. Now, this needs a brainstorming discussion like what we have done. Okay. So therefore, because we don't have time, we've got less than 10 minutes. So you will take assumptions, anything which needs for delivering the project successfully. So the assumptions could be that I'm assuming all the materials that I need is available, all the expertise that I need is available. Okay. So those are the assumptions. Constraint, you can say the constraint is basically I may not be able to deliver this during rainy season when there will be a lot of rain. So I need to, this is my constraint. The weather conditions may be constrained. Risks, you might just say the risk is we will trial this thing in first time. So the risk could be the fish or I think Professor Gaurav has mentioned juvenile. My understanding is that those are the young fishes or whatever, or what, if my assumption is right, then you will write that there's a risk that the young fishes that we put in may die, and therefore we need to replace them with another batch. So you will brainstorm and then you think all the possible risks. Risks are always brainstormed and articulated. So having said so, let's go to the next page. How will you write the resources? What are the resources you need to deliver this project? And the resources could be material resource, manpower resource, or resources like process or expertise. Okay, normally you will estimate how many people are required to deliver this project because you have to pay those salaries. Okay, if you need 100 people and 4 months, their salary will be more than 2 lakhs. But if you just need 2 or 3 people, then the salaries are low. So you will write the resources. So you will write here, I will need 1 project manager, 2, one expert in agriculture side, 1 expert in construction side, maybe a team of 3. And team of 3, this average salary could be whatever. And then based on that, in 4 months, you will be able to match that within the 2 lakh, you can, or you will say the 2 lakh excludes the resource cost. The 2 lakh is only the material costs. Okay. Is that clear? Okay, stakeholder already professor has given in the stakeholder slide. You will see there are investor, there are government, there are customers. So those are the stakeholders. So you can say these are the stakeholders for the project, and we will be taking care each and everyone's needs and expectation. Okay, so that's why you write here. You write the stakeholder just not for the name, but the reason why the stakeholder is there and how that impacts your project. So it impacts my project because I need to take care of the needs and expectation or the requirements of each stakeholder. So that's what you will write there. Okay, what is the approach? The approach is simple. In the absence of anything else, you can say the approach will be the 5 phases. That means the approach will be, I will first initiate, then I will plan, share the plan with you, get your approval. Only after approval, then I'll implement. During implementation, I will keep the quality specifications in front of us, make sure the audits are being done. Therefore, the approach is to deliver as per the quality and within time. Okay, so that you will write those ones. Communication and reporting. What will you write? The very overview. How will you want to communicate? We discussed today reporting being a process. Yeah, go ahead, Shreya. You're saying something?
So regarding the reporting, I think we could, like as mentioned by you, we will be reporting if there is any kind of like risk in installing the aquaponic system. That can be like incidents and accidents mentioned by you, that can be included. And we need to even like for the initial stages, we need a regular monitoring and we need to take a feedback of is the product like functioning properly or not. That kind of report can be considered.
Good. Very good. Excellent. So you will say overall, hey, project sponsor, we are going to give you regular reports. You will get every fortnight a report, and the report will include the project's progress. And by the way, if there's any incident and accidents, we will also inform you that. And in addition to that, we will also be open for you to ask us for ad hoc reports, and we will be giving that reports to you as and when it is requested. In terms of communication, we will use a platform called email mostly, and it will be all written communication. However, we will also use from time to time a face-to-face briefing. So we will come to your office and give you a face-to-face briefing. So that's about communication. Okay, acceptance. What will you write in acceptance?
So the delivery approach which we will be using, for example, sequence or sequence, like what kind of like what will be starting and ending, the time period, and sorry, specifications of the project.
Absolutely right. Specification of the project is the acceptance criteria. So you will write over there that we will give you at the beginning in the planning stage the specifications of the project, and in the final report we will demonstrate that the specifications are met, and only on that basis we will request you to accept the project and release us as the project is completed by paying all our dues and things like that. Okay, good. In the change management, what will you write? How will you manage changes? It's a process, so you need to articulate a process. What you will institute as a change management process. Any change which is requested, how will you handle those changes? How will you handle those requests?
First we would research on whether that particular change is going to be both profitable for both uh, us and the customers, and if it is so, then we would change the steps required to adopt those changes in our particular project.
Fantastic. Jaya has already mentioned two critical points. One is research. Instead of research, I'll use the word evaluate. Okay, I will evaluate every change request, and on evaluation, if we find it is appropriate and beneficial, I will accept. And once I accept, Jaya has used the second word, that there will be certain steps to follow to accept the changes. So you will say we will follow certain steps in which we will come to you and say these are the change requests which seems to be legitimate, and therefore we are requesting to accept these changes. And that will be either coming as a variation of the initial plan, or it can come from the contingency. So you will talk about the change management. And the last but not the least is anything which you have not got in the template, you will write in the others. Okay, as on when you write this document, you will see there are certain things you want to communicate, but there is no field, no row. So therefore, you will park all of them in the others, and 1, 2, 3, 4, you will write others. And the final one, the project manager's name has to be there, which is you in this case. the sponsor's name has to be there, which is the person who is the investor, and it has to be signed with a date in pen. Clear? So when you're submitting this, create a digital signature and a digital date and submit. Because without that, you're not competent. You just can't write project managers, create a digital signature. So we close today on time. It's exactly 5:30 here. So it's, I think, 12 o'clock in your time there.
Yes.
Was this session helpful?
Yes, sir, very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just need a half a minute from each of you. Why do you think it was helpful? What have you learned today?
Sir, the first of all, the project charter, which was an absolutely new for us. So we have learned it, how to write it in a way, and obviously it will help in our interview process. Definitely it will help. So that way it is very, very beautiful.
Okay. Next.
Sir, these things are pushing our brain to think, like how to write the things which we know and present it in front of the investors to get our startup idea money, which is the blood of the whole startup.
Correct. Yeah. Next.
So today's class actually more of like a correct way of implementing what we have learned in the past 1.5 hours. Because we are facing the difficulties with the initiation. Though we understood the theory, but putting it on paper was a bit difficult. The depth of the particular idea we are going is what I learned today.
Correct. So that is why it is a skills training. So it is not the knowledge, but as you rightly said, Shreya, that it's always difficult to have the knowledge and translate into in real life project. So that's what we will be learning. Very good. Who wants to go next?
So
Yeah,
actually in
Tarun.
the test class,
Okay. Yeah, Padma, go.
we actually learned how to present it, and like we have already an idea and the knowledge, but we don't know how to put it in a formal way, how to present it. That was the main point we learned today.
Very good. Yeah. Who wants to go next? Tarun, you want to go?
Yes, sir. Like to summarize, maybe we are getting it more streamlined way of understanding things in detail. Maybe it's like many things are quite obvious, but we just don't literally give that importance to those small aspects. We feel that yes, like, acceptance approach will go with the flow, but like literally keeping it in mind and while doing the project, streamlining it one after the other and getting that ready and all. It's making more
Correct.
sense. Sir.
Correct. Remember, the same thing for bigger projects is done by a Deloitte or a Pricewaterhouse. And in Australia, they don't charge less than $100,000. To write a project charter for a big project. So someone like you will be hired. You will be working for Deloitte. You will be working for EY. And when you write a project, they will charge the client that big money. So why the big money? Because there's a structure, there's a template, you know what to write, what not to write. So therefore, you're learning absolutely gold standard practical skills, which will be valuable by those companies that you'll be applying for jobs. Okay, what about Deepak? What's your take out from today's class?
From today's learning, we learned 5 phase of project life cycle, and after that project charter template. From that, as a project manager, we can go with the successful project charter template and make the project successful.
Fantastic. So I think we covered everyone. I'll leave this both the assignments to be done offline and then submit it and then Professor Praveen and Professor Gaurav will give you feedback. In case there are any difficulty of understanding, because it's an open book, you probably will understand. If it is difficult, then listen to the recorded lecture. And if you still have difficulty, next class, you let me know. I will address and clear your doubts. Okay. So with that, I will say goodbye for this weekend and see you next Saturday again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
See you soon. Thank you.
Very good.
So you can log off and I'll have a chat with Gaurav and Praveen here.
So this week we didn't go with the knowledge assignment.
Come again?
The knowledge assignment of this week is pending actually.
This week is fielding.
No,
The knowledge.
She's asking
The
about
knowledge
knowledge
assignment.
assessment.
So that you fill whenever you...
The knowledge assessment, yeah, you fill up the knowledge assessment and upload it. Like, like how have you given last time? The same way, just do it offline and submit it. So that's,
Okay.
yeah, those ones are, these are like exams, but these exams are more like skills training exams. So, there's nothing to mug. Everything is so that you can answer. That means you have comprehended, you understood the skill, and you can reproduce in your own words. That is the skill. Okay. And of course, you will be the beneficiary if you really comprehend and then write.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So you can log off and then I'll spend time with. Yeah. Okay.
Let me stop the recording.
Yeah, I stop the recording, please.